Some movies don't just entertain you, they leave an atmosphere behind. You finish watching and you want another story that feels exactly like that. Not necessarily the same plot, but the same emotional tension, the same danger, the same heat simmering underneath every conversation. And honestly, that's exactly how I felt after watching Sinners.
Slow, turn the page, find your peace in this space, honey and prose. Welcome home.
Hey Book Nook crew, welcome back to Honey and Prose, where we talk about stories, softness, and the emotional experience of reading. And welcome back to Page Turners for Popcorn Lovers, where we match your favorite movies with books that give the same emotional experience. So today we are talking about books to read if you love Sinners. And not just because these books share similar themes, but because they carry the same atmosphere, emotional tension, survival, fear, and complicated people trying to navigate dangerous situations while carrying wounds, grief, rage, loyalty, all of it. So grab your tea, get comfortable, and let's get into it. The very first book I have to recommend is Jackal. And this book immediately came to mind because it carries that same feeling that something is deeply wrong underneath the surface. This story follows a Black woman returning to her hometown for a wedding. But once she's back, young Black girls begin disappearing. And what starts out feeling uncomfortable slowly becomes emotionally terrifying. But atmosphere-wise, this book feels tense from the beginning. You know how in Sinners there's this emotional pressure underneath the interactions, like everybody knows more than they're saying? That is exactly what this book feels like. Small town silence, buried secrets, that feeling of being watched. The sense that danger has always been there, but people just stop talking about it. And emotionally, this book feels hot and uneasy, like walking outside before a storm breaks. If you love the emotional tension and layered danger in Sinners, I think this one would absolutely pull you in. Next up, The Reformatory. Now, this one feels heavier emotionally, but if what stayed with you about Sinners was the survival aspect and the emotional weight underneath the story, I really think this book would resonate. This story follows a young boy sent to a brutal reform school in Jim Crow, Florida, where he begins seeing ghosts connected to the violence and the trauma surrounding the institution. And let me say this right now, this book feels haunted. Not just supernaturally, historically haunted. The atmosphere feels oppressive in a way that sits on your chest while you're reading it. Heat, fear, silence, power, survival. You can feel all of it in every chapter. And one thing that I loved about Sinners was how emotionally layered it felt between the surface tension, and this book does that too. It's not just horror for shock value, it's deeply rooted in history, humanity, and emotional survival. This is one of those books where the atmosphere stays with you after you finish reading it. Next is White Smoke. And if what you loved about Sinners was the feeling that something dangerous was slowly creeping closer and closer, this one absolutely captures that energy. The story follows a teenage girl moving to a new town with her family, but almost immediately things start feeling wrong inside the house and around the neighborhood. And what I love about Tiffany D. Jackson is how emotionally grounded her stories feel. The fear never feels random. It always feels connected to emotional instability, trauma, relationships, or survival. This book feels emotionally claustrophobic, tense, paranoid, and heavy. Like you're waiting for something bad to happen the entire time. And atmosphere wise, this book feels smoky, uneasy, and psychologically intense in a way that reminded me of the emotional tension in Sinners. Next up is Ring Shout. Now, this one leans more action horror fantasy, but hear me out. If what you loved in Sinners was the feeling of rage, survival, danger, and characters fighting against something bigger than themselves, this novella delivers that same emotional intensity. This story follows Black women monster hunters battling literal demons born from hate and violence during the Jim Crow era. And this book feels fast, sharp, dangerous, explosive. But underneath all the action is the emotional underculture of survival and resistance that gives it real weight. This feels like heat, blood, fear, rage, fighting to survive in a world designed against you. And visually, this book feels incredibly cinematic while you're reading it. Honestly, I could see people who love Sinners really enjoying the energy of this one. And finally, I want to talk about Memphis. Now, this recommendation is for the viewers who connected with more than the emotional and generational layers in Sinners. This book follows multiple generations of women in a Southern Black family navigating love, trauma, survival, memory, and inherited pain. And emotionally, this book feels warm, heavy, and deeply human. The atmosphere feels like Southern summers, old houses, family history, music drifting through the rooms, women carrying generations of survival inside them. This is not a fast-paced thriller kind of atmosphere. It is reflective, but it carries that same emotional depth and layered storytelling that made Sinners feel bigger than just surface level entertainment. This book feels lived in, like memory. And honestly, those are some of my favorite reading experiences. And those are my page turners for popcorn lover recommendations if you love Sinners. These books all capture different parts of that same emotional atmosphere. Tension, survival, danger, emotional heat, layered Black storytelling, secrets, fear, complicated humanity. And honestly, this is why I love matching movies with books. Sometimes you are not looking for the exact same story. You're chasing that same feeling. So now, I want to hear from you, Book Nook crew. If you watch Sinners, what books would you pair with it? Drop them down below because you already know I am always looking for immersive stories that create an experience while reading them. And if you enjoyed spending this cozy little corner of the internet with me today, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Honey and Prose with another reader who loves atmospheric stories and emotionally immersive books. Until next time, sip something warm, pick up something good, and I will see you in the next chapter.
Sweet like honey, let it flow. Every line got a little soul.